In the Quran, in chapter 5, verse 67, Allah tells the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Ya ayyuhar Rasul, balligh ma unzila ilayka min rabbik, wa illam taf'al, fama balagta risalatahu. Very deep. Allah tells the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to spread the message of the Quran. And he told the Prophet, and if you do not spread the message, you did not fulfill the mission of the messenger. So you and I are followers of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If we can afford one Quran, help us join in distributing the Quran. So if you can't afford one Quran, do it. $3. 10 Quran, $30. 100 Quran, $300.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. If you would like to dedicate copies of one of these publications as Sadaqah Jariyah, continuous blessings for your parents or dear ones who have passed away, or fi sabilillah, in the path of Allah, please give us a call so we can place your names on these dedicated publications. You can call us at 954-986-0158, or you can also visit us at www.alhikmat.com.
Allah is the creator of different faces. Allah is the creator of all races. Allahu, 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 Allah.
Al-Hikmat, in collaboration with Atlas Immigration Foundation, now offering free professional immigration consultations and affordable services. We work with all types of visas and immigration statuses. The office is located inside the Al-Hikmat office building. For more information, you can contact us at toll-free 1-888-963-9163 or 407-242-5140, or contact the Al-Hikmat Dawah office at 954-986-0158.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Who is Who on Al-Hikmat TV 24/7 online. Today we are very fortunate to have with us in Al-Hikmat studio Judge Bachman. And I want to make sure I have that name correct. It's Paul Bachman, a retired judge. And welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much for having me this morning.
Beautiful. So stay tuned. We have a wonderful program coming up with this judge who has over 35 years of experience, a man with a wonderful, interesting background, from a lawyer to a community leader, and now he's heading to be clerk of courts. And we'll be talking to Judge Bachman on what is clerk of courts and what motivated him to run for this position after having 34 to 35 years of experience as a judge. So, tell us a little bit about your background. What motivated you to have become a judge?
That's a very interesting story. I was educated in New York. I went to college in New York. I went to law school in Chicago. The day I graduated, my wife and I moved from Chicago down to Pembroke Pines, Florida. So I've been down here approximately 45 years. I opened my own practice. I didn't really like practicing law.
So what area were you specialized in law? Criminal?
I would like to. No, I never handled criminal case in my life. I was a civil lawyer, corporate. I did some mergers, acquisitions. I didn't litigate. I had a partner that would litigate. He did the court work. I did basically the office work. So with the exception of criminal, if somebody needed a closing, somebody needed a probate, somebody needed a lawyer to handle matters, I would handle those. If they were involved in a lawsuit, like a couple of my major clients who seemed to always be in court, we had an associate and a partner, and they handled all of that. But, you know, I had a staff at one point of about 18, 19, and all they cared about was, am I getting my check on Friday?
Wow.
So, you know, I really didn't like it, and I was ready to leave the practice of law. In fact, I had job offers in New York and St. Louis, managing lawyers as opposed to practicing. And a friend of mine said, there's going to be a couple of openings, you'd be a great judge. I said, I don't like judges.
Yeah.
And he asked me why. I said, because I don't come from South Florida. I'm a foreigner to most of the small. In '75, Fort Lauderdale was a very small, tight community.
Yes.
You either went to the University of Miami, you went to Florida, or you went to Florida State. That was it. And I got frustrated when I would go into a courtroom and the judge would be talking about a football game from Saturday, and they'd look at me and say, what do you want? Here on denied.
So definitely you would not have liked a judge, because here the judges would have denied you in many cases. You would have had your war with the judges, and now you're going to become a judge.
Well, my friend said, and it was very true, and I carried it all the way through my career. Take all the things you don't like about judges, don't ever do them. And I had a philosophy that first I had an open door. I had a philosophy that I said, if I said or did something that somebody thought was inappropriate, they had every right to take me outside the courtroom, turn me around, kick me in the rear. And I will tell you, I had some lawyers that did it, and they were right, and I would go right back into court and I would apologize. My ego really didn't get in the way of doing a job. My job was to be an umpire. Fair, impartial, consistent. And from the day I started to the day I left, that was always my reputation. I was tough, but fair. To a point where all the lawyers wanted to try their cases with me.
That is interesting. That is interesting. And I think that would have given you a phenomenal experience in dealing with lawyers with all different kind of cases. And I mean, it really puts you into some mindset of stability when you're a judge. It puts you into some serious decision making, huh?
I loved my job from day one to the last day when I had to retire. I was passionate about my job. Everyone knew, my courtroom ran as a team. If you think I was the boss in my courtroom, I never was. But I ran a very good, well-managed courtroom. I had great staff. I had very little turnover over 35 years.
So all your entire 35 years were right here in Broward County?
Correct. I started in Hollywood as a county judge and got elevated by Governor Lawton Chiles to the circuit bench, and I spent almost 28 years as a circuit judge trying the worst criminal cases, career criminals, capital homicides, cop killers.
Interesting, very interesting. So now, this position of clerk of courts, what motivated you? What motivated you to run for this position now after 35 years as a judge, serving as a judge? And what do you hope to achieve when you become clerk of courts? And what is this position?
The clerk of courts is probably one of the least known positions, and it's probably one that touches every single person in this community.
Interesting.
You get a traffic ticket, you have to deal with the clerk of courts. Their job, in addition to passports, marriage licenses, is to collect fees, to collect costs, which make up the budget, which gets sent to Tallahassee. Tallahassee then decides with the clerk's organization and corporation for the 67 counties how the money is going to get divvied up. I will tell you that the only thing I agree with the present clerk on is that the office is underfunded. And it is. Oh. But that's a legislative matter. That's not.
So how many clerk of courts do they have?
Well, there's the clerk of court.
Okay, and that's the position you're running for.
That's the position.
The clerk of courts.
Right. There are anywhere between 700 and 800 employees, depending upon how many openings there are.
Okay.
Right now, I think they're bordering around a little over 700. You know, money's tight. Money's going to get worse now as a result of COVID.
Yes.
But COVID has taught us how to work very differently,
Yes.
doing things that we never ever thought we would or we could. And one of my goals is to not only lift the morale of the office, it's to modernize the office to a point where we can become virtual. We do Zoom hearings today. You know, the judges are doing all their motions, all of their stuff with the exception of trials, over Zoom. Now, why should John Q. Citizen have to leave work, drive to the courthouse, find parking, pay for parking, to go in only to be told, well, we can't help you today, come back another time?
Yes.
As opposed to getting on a Zoom at a particular time and dealing with individuals who can help them with their problem.
Because we are in a world of technology nowadays, so we got to use technology to the maximum we can.
And we have to experiment, and we have to
Yes,
start moving
yes.
forward to points that we never thought we would. Now, I've been asked, where do you think you're going to find the money, excuse me, to be able to modernize and computerize the way you're talking? I said there are foundations, there are grants through corporations, and I firmly believe that that money is available at this stage. They're still the ones making money.
Interesting, interesting.
But why I decided to do
Yeah,
this?
what
let me
motivated
go
you
back to where you started.
to get into this position?
When
Instead of relaxing after serving for 35 years.
well, I
as
did
a
retire,
judge.
and I will tell you point blank, I don't need this job. I have a very comfortable pension. I don't have that as a financial problem, but since our new clerk came in 2016, she would have started in 17. The morale in the office went from bad to horrible. It's a leadership style. It's a matter of, is the clerk open to new ideas? To me, the ideas and the progress come from those who participate. You know, I admit, do I know every aspect of that office? No. Same way the president of the United, well, I don't want to talk about that.
Yes.
But let's take that as just as a position. When a president of the United States comes into office, they don't know what the full job is about. You hope that the individual is one that can inspire, one that can lead, and one that is willing to take advice from a cabinet or other people.
From the experts out there.
Right. To me, from the highest level to the lowest level, you know, in terms of what the clerks do, they're the ones that know what has to change. They're the ones that know the ideas to move forward, and they need to know that they have a team leader, which is the way I look at myself, that will listen and hear what they have to say and work with them so everybody believes that we're all on the same team,
Yes.
which we are. An office should be one that is open, one that everyone is pleased to work with, and that the employees can take pride.
So the clerk of courts is like the captain
That
who
would be
steers the ship
That would be correct.
with the help and support of all the other people
Right.
who make it possible. But you need a very intelligent, experienced, smart captain to lead the ship the right way.
Right, and you also need somebody that is willing to bring people in on the team that are a whole lot smarter than they are, and you give them the credit for everything that they do that advances the system. And when something goes wrong, it's, as you put it, the captain that has to be accountable and take responsibility and try to dive in to where a problem may have come from. It's not the place of the clerk or any other position. These are constitutional officers.
Interesting.
And you should not be confrontational. You should be professional. And you should be approachable. My cell phone is on every piece of my literature, and it's going to be listed on the website when I'm the clerk. You want to come and talk to me? Talk to me. I'll listen. The lawyers, they need to know that they have a clerk that can handle the modernization and move forward with their work. We were supposed to be a paperless system a long time ago. We're not.
I think that you are going to be really an exceptional leader because you are double blessed with the 35 years experience as a judge, and you have a wife. You have a wife, Arlene Simon Beckman, who is also a retired judge, and a nurse. You have that blessings of such a personality on your side, which will definitely add some spice and flavor to this position as the clerk. What do you think about that? What do you think about your wife being that moral support in all different ways?
My wife, who I love dearly, is my partner in everything we do. It's not one is over the other. It's an equal partnership between us. We have 4 very well educated, very happy children. We have a medical doctor married to a medical doctor. We have a PhD in math married to a PhD in neural biology. We have 2 lawyers that are down here, all very successful. But the best thing about our children, they gave us 9 beautiful grandchildren, the last of which was born about 10 days ago. So that's what really
So you are really a phenomenal granddad, happy husband, blessed father. I think that is phenomenal. I don't normally come across many people that the husband is a judge and the wife is also a judge.
You wouldn't believe how many couples we have on the bench that are husband and wife.
Oh, interesting, interesting.
We even had some fathers and sons, fathers and daughters. It's interesting how that develops. My younger son, it's only 40, he's my younger son, wanted to be a judge all of his life. Started running for it when he was 32, and in those days, I was only 34 when I became a judge, and there were 3 people running that were younger than me. And we learned how to become judges before we became circuit judges.
Yes.
And when my son realized he couldn't afford the job because he was a very successful lawyer and a shareholder in a big firm, he realized that this wasn't the time. And my oldest son, he's very lucky. He does land use and development, very well respected. And the irony of it is, as a father, is when he started lobbying and going in front of commissions in Broward County, they would always say, "Oh, is Judge Backman your father?" Now it's, "Oh, is Scott Backman your son?" So the pride that a parent gets, and Arlene and I share that pride amongst our 4 children. But again, we only like them because they gave us 9 grandchildren.
Of course, of course. And
6 girls, 3 boys.
I am definite that as the clerk of courts, with that sort of family background, a wife who has been a judge, and now a retired judge, children, family, lawyers, and all this sort of legal and all this sort of support, you are going to really do a phenomenal job. And I wish you all the best and wish you all the best in your success. Time just flies. We have already been speaking for 15 minutes.
Wow.
So you got the last couple of seconds as we conclude the program.
Last couple of seconds that I want to say, the passion that I brought to the bench, I still have, you know, in politics they call it that fire in the belly. I came out of retirement to do this. And I came out of retirement to do it because it needed to be done.
Yes.
And that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Well, we wish you all the best. And we have been speaking to Judge Beckman, Paul Beckman, a phenomenal experience, a man with a wonderful background, family. This is a whole bond of law and judges and legal experience, etc. So we wish him all the best, and stay tuned. After the short break, we will be speaking to Commissioner Josh of Coral Springs. Stay tuned. After the short break, we will come back.
Assalamu alaikum. Allah gives hikmat, wisdom, to whomsoever He wills. And whomsoever is given wisdom is certainly given a lot of good. Only the people of understanding will benefit from the reminder. Tune in to Al Hikmah TV for khutbahs, lectures, and Islamic reminders. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Who is Who in America on Al Hikmat TV. Today we are very fortunate to have with us in Al Hikmat studio attorney Joshua Rydell, and he is known as Attorney Josh. Am I correct?
You are.
He is the Vice Mayor of Coconut Creek, the Vice Mayor, and he's also running right now for the position of State Attorney. So we'll be talking to Attorney Josh, what motivated him to run to be State Attorney, what is it all about, what he expects to accomplish, and how can people benefit from this position that he's running to become State Attorney. So once more, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
And as we said before we got on the show, you are really a criminal lawyer. You're not a criminal, but you're a criminal lawyer.
That's one of my day jobs is I'm a criminal lawyer. Every day, before the pandemic, I was in the criminal courthouse, working on cases and fighting for people's rights.
And in the field of law, a criminal lawyer, would you consider that to be the most difficult area of law?
A lot of different fields of law have to do with money. So it's about one party going after another for money, something about money or maybe property or a divorce or something along those lines. But in my field, it's about liberty. It's about the government trying to take your liberty away in one way or the other.
Interesting. And how many years now have you been serving as a lawyer, criminal lawyer?
I got barred in the state of Florida in 2006. Started my career in the Broward County Public Defender's Office and went in private practice a little over 2 years later, and have been doing this in my own firm ever since.
Interesting. That is. And how do you see yourself in the court with judges? Do you think that judges do a phenomenal job, or what really happens?
In normal circumstances, I would invite you to come to court with me, but it's a difficult circumstances
Yes.
these days with the pandemic. But every day when you walk in a courtroom, it's not as glorious as we think on TV, on shows like Law and Order or NCIC. It's more a little less exciting, but it's exciting to me because you're dealing with people that have been arrested and are being charged with crimes. Some innocent, some guilty, some in the gray area in between, and we try to find the truth and try to find real justice.
And what motivated you to become the vice mayor, commissioner, vice mayor of Coconut Creek?
So I was, as a child, I would actually visit. I'm from Buffalo, New York originally. And as a child, my grandparents originally moved to Coconut Creek. And when me and my wife, again, when we had met, we were looking to raise a family somewhere, and we settled on the city in Coconut Creek in Broward County, Florida, because it was a good place, good schools. Her parents lived close by, her brothers, and it was, to us, it seemed like a natural fit. But when we moved to this great community, I noticed the city, we needed to inject some family values. We needed to inject young families into government. So there was an opportunity, there was an open seat in the year 2015, and I took the bull by the horns and I ran for office at the time. And when I was running, I was 32 years old. I was actually one of the youngest elected officials at that time in Broward County. There's been some younger ones since then,
Wow.
but at the time, we tried to make a real difference in government because I'm a firm believer you have to give back if you're going to do anything.
Right. And before we get into the state attorney job and position, so what are some of the interesting achievements that you got as a commissioner, vice mayor of Coconut Creek?
The big things is you try to preserve your residents' lifestyle in life. What a lot of people throughout the country don't know is the city of Coconut Creek is nestled right next to the largest landfill in all South Florida. One of the largest landfills sits right next to the city, and you can imagine how that smells sometimes.
Wow, I know, we drive up and down the turnpike.
So you could imagine how it smells sometimes. One of my biggest accomplishments.
I must say, once I had a friend who was driving with me, and we passed by, and he said, "Listen, I thought Florida was flat land. You guys got mountains." I said, "No, that's the dumps. That's the landfill."
Oh yeah, Mount Trashmore, we call it.
Yes.
But a big accomplishment I had is we actually fought the expansion of that landfill, and not to get too technical, but processable waste, meaning the smelly garbage, we've been able to limit how much they put in, which has actually increased our residents' quality of life, that they don't need to smell it, and it doesn't smell nearly as much because of some work we did on the commission a couple years ago.
As it used to do before, you're totally right. Many years ago, it was terrible to drive by. Now it looks beautiful.
And you barely smell it too.
Yeah,
and that
you
has to
barely
do with
smell
the
it.
amount of actual smelly garbage, processable waste that goes in. Regular garbage that you or I or anybody watching puts in their trash can.
I think that's fantastic. You did a fantastic job, you guys. Wow. So let's get to the real meat of things now. What motivated you as vice mayor of Coconut Creek, attorney for over, 15 years or so, a criminal lawyer? What motivated you now to get into this field of state attorney?
Well, I'm always passionate about service, but what my whole career in law has been defined by is my passion for criminal justice. And in Broward County, we've had the same state attorney for over 44 years. Now, it's important first to point out what the state attorney does, because a lot of people, when I told my mother I was going to run for state attorney,
what's the president's state attorney name?
His name's Mike Satz.
Satz, S-A-T-Z. That's
correct.
I want to make sure I had it correct.
Yep.
Yes.
He's been there since 1976.
No, you're kidding.
And I was born in 1981, so he was there before I was even on this earth.
So you're going to make history here now.
That's the point.
This
That's
is
the goal.
history made.
That is the goal. And when the state attorney, just to tell you, and people don't realize it, when I told my mother that I was going to run for state attorney, here's what she said. She goes, "You can't move to Tallahassee. When am I going to see my granddaughters? I have two
Right.
little girls." And I go, "No, Mom, it's only for Broward." So what the state attorney does, every county has an elected state attorney, and what that person is the prosecutor in chief. It's the person in charge of prosecuting all crimes in Broward County. So that's what the title state attorney means. And based on my passion for criminal justice, this was a natural fit to try to fix a system that I think we could be doing much better on, and not only protecting us from crime, but trying to fix it.
I know that's a very deep, a very, very deep position, and I mean depth, because I would assume that not many people run for that position.
There's a lot of people this year running, because it's obviously a lot of people in this current state attorney's office are running, and previous state attorneys. In government, when a seat opens up, people run for it.
And I suppose you need strong-minded people
You do.
to get into a position like that.
You need strong leadership, because you need a leader that's going to not only create a good culture in the office, but be a voice for all of Broward County.
So when you become state attorney, you'll be giving up your position as vice mayor?
Yep.
And what about your practice as a criminal lawyer?
I'd be shutting my practice down.
Wow.
May not be the best decision, but it's a decision of service.
But you will always be a lawyer.
Correct.
You will always be a lawyer, so you can get that going, whatever, on the side.
Absolutely.
Strategically, I don't know, you can get that business running.
Well,
You can have a firm on
after
the
this
side.
job.
Can you have a firm on the side?
No, absolutely
with
not.
lawyers?
So this job requires,
Okay.
I'm a constitutional officer in the state of Florida. This is a full-time, dedicated job to serve the people of Florida and
That's
the people of Broward County.
interesting. So you'll be caught up like Mr. Trump in a situation that you can't run the hotels when you state
I
attorney.
don't know if I'd make the comparison to Donald Trump, but
I'm just looking at position. When you're in a certain position, certain things you just can't do.
so it's unique sometimes, because I think you have lifelong politicians that run for certain offices, and that's their whole career. I'm a little different. I built a business. I built a successful business. I make a difference in municipal government, and it's going to be hard for me to walk away from that, but I do it because I think I can serve a greater calling.
Interesting. So what are some of the changes that you would like to see achieved when you become state attorney, as opposed to what's going on right now?
I think for a long time in Broward County, we have punished people for addiction to drugs and mental health issues. I think every family knows somebody that has struggled with substance abuse, whether alcohol or drugs. Every family has somebody that struggled with mental health issues. And for too long in this county, we've criminalized that. So, my goal is to be solution-minded and start trying to fix those problems. There's also two fields that I don't think we've done enough to protect. And I say it regarding our most vulnerable populations. When you look at certain hate crimes that have happened in the state of Florida, we do not, in Broward County, aggressively prosecute those cases. And I think we need a specialized unit to look into hate crimes and protect our most vulnerable communities. And regarding elderly abuse, people don't realize, and I learned this in municipal government.
Because we got a lot of elderly here in Broward County.
It's called the Silver Tsunami. And what that means is the baby boomer generation is going to now be our senior citizens soon. And that is a tremendous amount of people. And what we don't have a lot of prosecutions about, elderly abuse, both physical and mental. We need to be protecting the people that have given us this great country and built our businesses and set a foundation. that my kids' grandparents. We need to make sure they're protected always, and I think we need to expand that.
Yeah, you got to do that. And I mean, Broward County is a very interesting county. I mean, as a lawyer, you would have a better answer to this. Is Broward County the largest multicultural county in the United States, or the second largest multilingual, I think it's something to do with that.
So I'll say this: we're not the largest county. Miami-Dade is the biggest county in all of Florida, and you get places like New York City and Los Angeles
Right, but
that
from
are probably
multicultural, multilingual.
The answer, I believe, and I don't have the statistics on it, but I believe yes, it is definitely on one of the top lists, because Broward County is a dynamic and diverse and different place where you have pockets throughout the county of different cultures, of different people from different countries, and it's amazing.
Yes.
And I think we need to do better to protect all those different communities, because we can agree on one thing: different communities need different things.
Yeah, because I remember in some little statistics or research I was doing, it is definitely up in the first, second, or third in the entire United States when it comes to that, in its population, its county, and the multilingual because of where we are located.
Absolutely.
Listen, the state of Florida is a beautiful state. When it comes to weather, when it comes to the climate, we are unique in the United States of America.
Florida is also the hub to all of Central and South America.
Yes. So you got an interesting job. You will have a very interesting job.
I look forward to the endeavor, because I think we can make a really big difference.
And why I mentioned that about multicultural, multilingual, because the more multi you have of diversity in a county or in a state or territory, it's the more interesting cases you would have.
Absolutely, and I think a big focus of mine and what I've learned over my career is exactly what I mentioned before. Different communities need different things. Mm-hmm. How your community may need to be serviced through being protected and through a state attorney may be different than what they need in Deerfield Beach or different places. So different communities need different resources, and we need a state attorney that understands that and is engaged with that.
Yes, because you definitely cannot treat everyone with the same stick, as we would say.
Exactly.
I mean, the same law, but you have to know how to handle it. And I have always been, I had a lot of experience after 9/11 with law enforcement people. I were asked to do a lot of classes on cultural diversity, because, Islam is so very universal, and you may have someone dressing, looking like a Muslim, but is not a Muslim. And someone may not look like a Muslim, but is a Muslim. Because a lot of people once thought that every Muslim, had a long beard and a gown and a turban on his head, whereas it has nothing to do with that. You got people from all over the world. So a lot of people in the legal field, the law enforcement field, were just looking at people, how they look, and made a judgment. And that was totally wrong. And until you don't understand their culture and their background and their lifestyle, and to be very realistic, you may find a guy from the Arab world totally looks different. A guy from Indo-Pak looks totally different. But their lifestyle is so much the same when it comes to Islam, or they may be different. And if law enforcement does not understand the background and the cultural diversity of these people, how are you going to make a judgment? You don't just look at them and make a decision.
I learned early on in law school. When I started law school, I met who turned out to be one of my closest friends, an Arab woman, a Muslim woman. Mm-hmm. And she's still one of my closest friends, and we practiced together for a number of years. She took a different job about 2 years ago. And what I learned that is lacking in our courthouse, in our criminal justice system, is exactly what you referenced. We do not do cultural training. We don't do cultural identity and bias training. None of that happens currently, and something that's very significant to me is implementing those type of protocols in the criminal justice system, because that's the first step at actually trying to really make a difference that justice is equal amongst all of us.
Of course, and that's why I mentioned, I taught a lot of classes to different law enforcement people from all different levels, and the questions they were asking, it's really strange, because a lot of law enforcement people, they just look at you and make a decision.
Yep.
Your religion, your name, the way you dress, and they have no clue to your cultural background. And I think that is so important, and especially in the field of law, because judges and lawyers can paint a brush on someone
on their perception, which can be totally wrong.
And that's something I've learned throughout my career. I've represented every single type of person that exists on this earth, and I've learned something from every one of my clients. But what I've learned in that history is how we can do better in the court, and how the state attorney, which I hope to win, we can make a bigger difference for all our different cultures.
Definitely. You know, and I always like to use the example of even the eye contact. There are some cultures, to look at you in the eyes considered disrespect. And in America, if certain law enforcement people were to speak to someone and that someone does not look at you in the eye, they think that is disrespect, not knowing that it is respect. And they would have already painted a decision.
Absolutely. I went to, early on in my career, I did some body language training. And we learned about body language across the globe, and how different cultures have different types of body language. That in America, we may judge people on their body language, which is a completely different view in a different country. We need to be very aware of these things, and candidly, our justice system, which you highlighted, because I'm sure you were shocked at some of the questions you were asked.
Totally shocked. Amazed.
We can do better.
Yes.
We can do much better.
And I really think that from ICE and police and lawyers and judges, they need to understand the cultural diversity, because America is a melting pot. America, is one of the most wonderful, if not the most wonderful country in the world, with the kind of diversity that we got. So if we don't understand cultural background and diversity, we can really mess up our profession and our career.
Absolutely.
Yes, totally. And I think that position as state attorney will really be a great position for a person like you, dynamic, experience, etc. We have been talking for almost 15 minutes now. But anyhow, you got the last say. What else would you like to share with our viewers? We got a worldwide viewers, different networks, different television networks, etc., local, national, and international. So what would you like to share to our viewers before we conclude?
Well, the first thing I'll say is I think we can do better as just people on this earth, being more respectful. We learned the golden rule in this country, which is treat others how you want to be treated. Mm-hmm. And I think that statement, no matter where you live, defines how we should be treating our fellow people on this earth.
Of course.
And for anyone local, I would ask them that on August 18th, there's a primary in the state of Florida, in Broward County. I would urge them to come out and vote for change, and to vote for Josh Rydell for Broward County State Attorney.
Josh Rydell.
Josh Rydell.
State Attorney, Broward County. And not only local, Josh, we got people all over the world, as I said, who got relatives that live in America, national, international, and they may have their relatives living here in Broward County. They can give them a call.
They can give them a call?
And tell them, just support Josh Rydell for State Attorney.
You can find me on Facebook, you can find me on Google, and I always answer my phone.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. It has really been a pleasure to have you on the show. Beautiful, wonderful experience, and I wish you all the best. And to all of you out there, we have been speaking to Attorney Josh Rydell, who is presently the Vice Mayor of Coconut Creek, criminal lawyer, and is now running to be the State Attorney for Broward County. So we wish him all the best, and stay tuned. When we come back after the short break, we will have with us on the show the Mayor of Pembroke Park. Thank you very much. In the Quran, in chapter 5, verse 67, Allah tells the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Ya ayyuhar Rasul, balligh ma unzila ilayka min rabbik, wa illam taf'al, fama balagta risalatahu. Very deep. Allah tells the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to spread the message of the Quran. And he told the Prophet, and if you do not spread the message, you did not fulfill the mission of the messenger. So you and I are followers of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If we can afford one Quran, help us join in distributing the Quran. So if you can't afford one Quran, do it. $3. 10 Quran, $30. 100 Quran, $300. Assalamu alaikum, and welcome back to Who is Who in America on Al Hikmat TV 24/7 online. Again, it is indeed a pleasure to have with us in Al Hikmat studio Mayor Ashira Muhammad. And Mayor Ashira Muhammad
is presently the mayor of Pembroke Park. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It is really nice to have you with us. I consider this an opportunity. I've always heard the name Mayor Ashira Mohammed, and today we have you here in Al Hikmat studio. And for our viewers out there, Mayor Ashira is an attorney by profession. She specialized in immigration law, and she's now running for the position of state representative, Florida House State Representative for District 101. So stay tuned as we talk to Mayor Ashira Mohammed.
Thank you.
So once more, welcome to the show, and tell us what motivated you to become a lawyer. So we want to know what motivated you to become a lawyer, and then you went into politics, became a mayor, and now you're going to go into becoming a state representative. So give us a little bit about that history.
Okay, so I'm a non-traditional person. I did not go to school in the proper way that everyone else went to school.
What do you mean by that?
Well, when I graduated from high school, I actually went into work. I went to work for the telephone company in New York, and then I decided to go back to school once
So
I
you
got...
were born in New York?
Yes, I was born and raised in Brooklyn.
Interesting.
Yes, and so I went to school. I went to work first. I went to the telephone company, became a central office technician. After 2 years of being there, I decided to go and get my associate's degree. And I went to Kingsborough Community College, and then I moved down to Florida after I got my associate's degree because I found out school was a lot cheaper in Florida than it was in New York. So I moved down here with my dad and went to Florida Atlantic University, got my bachelor's degree in international business. I've had a non-traditional everything growing up and coming out of school. I actually was a model while I was...
Oh my goodness.
while I was going to school. So I used to travel all over the United States and the Caribbean modeling. And that's how I ended up paying for my way through school.
So when you say Caribbean, what countries in the Caribbean?
So I've done some work in the Bahamas. We've gone to Antigua, just a couple little Caribbean islands right here and there. You know, the Caribbean is my home because my dad is from Trinidad.
Of course, and I was definitely going to ask you that. Your roots from Trinidad.
Yes.
That is interesting because, I mean, that's the land of paradise here.
Yes, it is. And, you know, we have a very diverse culture in Trinidad.
Multicultural.
Yes.
Very diverse, yeah.
Yes, so it's, you know, it's my roots, and, you know, I did not do anything traditional. I went to school, got my associate's degree, got my bachelor's degree. During my last term of getting my bachelor's degree, I ran for office for Pembroke Park for a commission for District 5. And I ran for office because I wanted a sidewalk around an elementary school right by my house because I thought it didn't make sense for children at such a small age to be walking in the street to go back and forth to school on a daily basis. You have a lot of latchkey children that walk home. We have a lot of apartment complexes in the neighborhood, and they were putting up more and more new complexes, and these kids were literally stuck having to walk in the street to go home. And so that was the reason I actually got into office, was because I'm like, why are these kids in the street? This makes no sense. Somebody has to protect these kids, you know. And I always consider myself a forever student, so I'm like, oh my gosh, this could be me. This, you know, this could be anyone. And I felt like we had to do something to protect these children. And so that's how I ended up getting started. I ended up staying on the commission for a while, working, doing various jobs, working for National Minority Supplier Development Council, doing minority procurement. I did that for about 3 years, and then I decided I'm gonna go back to school and get my law degree while I sat on the commission. So I was actually the vice mayor the entire time I was in law school.
Oh, you're kidding? For Pembroke Park?
Yes.
Yeah. So what year did you become a commissioner?
2003.
2003. So you're almost 20 years in this.
Yes.
20 years. I mean, 3 years is neither here nor there. So you served as vice mayor, and then you became the mayor. That is interesting. Interesting. So what are some of the changes you did as mayor? How many years now have you been mayor?
Almost 10 years.
Almost 10 years. Wow.
Yes.
That's considered a decade, right?
Yes. But I don't feel like a decade has passed. There's so much work that we've done, and there's so much work that's left to do. So, you know, it's always changing.
So what are some of the things you got done as mayor?
Oh, all right. So I've been...
Just one or two highlights. I know there would have been a ton
There's
of
a
things.
ton.
Yeah.
Well, they've dubbed me the mayor of social programs. because I like to get out in the community. I'm the weird one who will fill up a pickup truck during a hurricane with water and ice and carry it neighborhood to neighborhood, knock on doors to give things to folks. So I prefer to be out in the community serving in whatever capacity I can. I started grocery giveaways to make sure that there's no food insecurity in my city, because we have so many people that live below the poverty line. Some of the things that I've done for the businesses, we've done a lot of things, creative financing to attract businesses into the city, whereas we are a small city, we don't have money to just give to businesses to come into the city. So what we do is we've done creative financing and helped them apply for grants to get them to come into the city, rebated their taxes for 10 years, just different little things that we can do to work with the businesses to make sure they come into the city so that we could have a thriving economy. 30% of my residents live below the poverty line. Wow. So I have to do whatever I can to make sure that they're comfortable.
So tell me something, the name Ashira Muhammad, have you had a little wall with that name Muhammad as the mayor? Because I don't know how many, do you know if there are any other mayors in the United States of America that have the name Muhammad?
That I'm not sure about. For Florida, we don't.
We don't. That
No,
we know for sure.
we don't.
And I think in most states, no. But we will have to check that out.
Yes.
If it is, it's going to only be one or none.
It's few and far between is what I will say.
Yes, yes. But what about the name Muhammad? Did people have a problem? And before I go into that, do you know if there are any other people with Trinidad roots that have become a mayor in the United States?
We've had our former lieutenant governor. She was from Trinidad.
Yes, she had Trinidad roots.
Yes. We have one in Miami Gardens. He's not a mayor, but he's been in and out of office. Ragu.
So he has Trinidad roots also.
He does. But like I said, we're few and far between down here.
We're
really few and far between.
It's just what you call 1, 2, 3. You can
Yes.
check on the fingers. So back to the name.
Yes.
The name is interesting. This name Muhammad.
Yes.
How did that work for you? What did you have people, or do you have people who's like Muhammad, mayor?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So when I first got elected in 2003, folks even in the city actually said, "Oh my gosh, we have a Taliban working for us."
You kidding?
No. They associated my name with being a Taliban member. And I'm like, listen, Muhammad is the #1 most popular name in the world. We come from all over. We've started out, we've migrated everywhere. So we've landed everywhere. And so for you to say that, it was very disheartening to hear this is how people felt about me.
Just the name, huh?
Just the name, never met me.
That's why, like President Obama, could you imagine America had to call him President Hussein? Barack Hussein Obama, and they were saying President Barack Hussein, and not Barack Obama, or not even Barack, President Hussein. Do you think people would have accepted that?
This world is funny. They don't actually look at people, they look at titles, and that's the problem that we have. And that's the problem that we've been having, and that's why we're in the current situation that we're in with the major need for police reform.
Because here his name, Hussein, was there, his middle name, but they just overlooked that and called it Obama.
Yes.
Interesting. And now you, Muhammad.
Yes, well, remember, a lot of people didn't even call him president.
Yeah.
Which was, was really upsetting, because he was our president.
Yes.
He was one of the best presidents we've ever had. And they wouldn't even acknowledge that because of his name.
Interesting.
I've had people tell me I needed to go and get married. I shouldn't run for office with my name. I need to change it. So many different things when it came to my name. I've had my yard signs and things. People have painted crosses on them.
No, you're kidding. I mean, so I was just asking you that out of the blues. I didn't think it is so important.
Yes.
So we really need to do a lot of work in this country, huh?
We have a lot of work to do to move this country
People
forward.
are yet to understand this diversity and cultural diversity and wow.
And I love my name. Like, my mom she gave me a traditional name because of my grandfather. My grandfather's from Trinidad. He's Muslim. And so she made sure to give me a traditional name to honor him.
So your family in Trinidad are Muslims, most of them?
They're mixed. My grandfather was Muslim. His first wife was Muslim. His second wife was Catholic. They had 27 kids between the two wives.
And they would have had some Christians and some Muslims.
Yes.
But you know, at the end of the day, that is Trinidad lifestyle.
Exactly.
That's being Trini, as we say.
Exactly. We don't, you know, we're accepting of all cultures, all religions. You know, one day you're eating parasad, the next day, you know.
And I think that would have been a great credit for you and a feather in your cap here in America, because you would have understood cultural diversity. You know, coming from that multicultural, multi-faith background.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what motivated you. We got about 5 more minutes on the show. What motivated you now to run to be a state representative?
Well, number one, our money comes from Tallahassee. And so while I've been doing a lot in my city, I know that my hands are tied as far as doing more for the community.
Okay.
So that's one of the main reasons that I'm looking to go to Tallahassee. This is the time I've done as much as I can do here, and I need the support from Tallahassee in order to be able to do more things for our community. I don't like the things that I see when I'm in court. They don't treat our people fairly when we're in court. There's a disparity.
Do you still practice as a lawyer?
I do.
Are you kidding?
I
Even
do.
though you're mayor?
I do. I don't practice full time the way I'd like to because of the fact that we've had a lot of things that, you know,
So
I've
do
been
you practice
responsible for.
immigration law right now?
Currently, yes.
Interesting. Oh, you wear many caps. I thought interesting.
Yes, and actually the joke is the immigration courts are the one courts that they did not close down at all during this pandemic because they were trying to get more people out of the country. They were still
Out of the
doing
country.
they still are doing deportations.
Wow.
So the deportation courts are in full operation. They never shut it down the entire time of this pandemic. And they still actually had us physically going to court. So the Orlando Immigration Court was still open to process deportations.
Interesting. That is interesting for the world to know. A lot of people don't know that.
Yes.
So now when you become state attorney,
State rep.
sorry. You know,
Not ready for state attorney yet.
Yes, state rep. What areas are you covering?
Okay, so
District 101, but what areas basically? Before we went on the show, you were talking about from County Line Road to
Yes. It covers from County Line Road to Taft Street and from Dixie Highway to Douglas Road.
So people who are looking at the show,
Yes.
whether it's national, international, local, and they got family and relatives and friends who live in these boundaries,
Yes.
County Line, Taft, Dixie Highway, and Douglas, they can tell them to go ahead and support
Yes.
Mayor Ashira Mohammed.
Yes. I would definitely appreciate
state
all
rep.
the support.
What else would you like to share? I mean, with our audience, with our viewers. What else? As I said, our viewers are very national, international, and local. And that's the beauty of America. Somebody got some family somewhere in America, from
Yes.
somewhere who would be looking at the show. So what else would you like to achieve as state representative, and what else would you like to share with our audience before we conclude? We got a couple of minutes, 3-4 minutes. So.
Okay, good. Well, there are a lot of things that I see wrong with our government right now. They don't seem to actually listen to the people. One of the things that I've always tried to do as a mayor is always have my ear to the public. I give out my cell number because I'm like, if you have a problem, call me. Don't call the office, call me directly. That's the best way for me to address the problem if I know what the problem is. I have an open door policy. I don't like the way things are happening in our court system when they're treating us differently from the way they treat other people. There needs to be uniform enforcement of the rules. And that's not what's happening. Right now we have a major need for police reform. We have a major need for criminal justice reform. You go into the courts, people are doing violent crimes, but they're sitting here letting them go. But yet you have nonviolent offenders who they're holding for 10, 15, 20 years for nonviolent crimes. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
They're deporting people as fast as they can come in, if not faster than what they're coming in. They're holding our children. These are things that we need to stop, and we need to get people in office that care about our issues and that are going to go up there and fight for our issues. We need money back in our district. Right now with COVID, there's so many problems with our budget and so many problems with the small businesses. They're not going to be able to survive if they don't have that help.
Yes.
And so these are things that I want to go up to Tallahassee to fight for, to make sure that we bring those services back home to help our community.
And I'm definite that you will make it. Because
you.
you have been there. You are a non-traditional background person. And you have made it. Attorney, vice mayor, mayor, and now State Representative, Florida House of State Representatives.
Yes.
Well, it was a pleasure having you on the show. Really, really, it was a pleasure.
Thank you.
I'm sure that our viewers would have enjoyed listening to you, a person with your experience and your background and your future dreams and accomplishment, and now to be a state rep. So, to our viewers out there, we have been talking to Mayor Ashira Muhammad, a state representative. She's now running to be a state representative here in Florida. She's presently an attorney and presently the mayor of Pembroke Park. It was a pleasure talking to her, and always tune in to Al Hikmat TV 24/7 online. Until then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
In the Quran, in chapter 5, verse 67, Allah tells the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Ya ayyuhar Rasul, balligh ma unzila ilayka min rabbik, wa illam taf'al, fama balagta risalatahu. Very deep. Allah tells the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to spread the message of the Quran. And he told the Prophet, and if you do not spread the message, you did not fulfill the mission of the messenger. So you and I are followers of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If we can afford one Quran, help us join in distributing the Quran. So if you can't afford one Quran, do it. $3. 10 Quran, $30. 100 Quran, $300.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If you would like to dedicate copies of one of these publications as Sadaqah Jariyah, continuous blessings for your parents or dear ones who have passed away, or fi sabilillah, in the path of Allah, please give us a call so we can place your names on these dedicated publications. You can call us at 954-986-0158, or you can also visit us at www.alhikmat.com.
Allah is the creator of different faces. Allah is the creator of all races. Allahu, 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 Allah.
Al Hikmat, in collaboration with Atlas Immigration Foundation, now offering free professional immigration consultations and affordable services. We work with all types of visas and immigration statuses. The office is located inside the Al Hikmat office building. For more information, you can contact us at toll-free 1-888-963-9163 or 407-242-5140, or contact the Al Hikmat Dawah office at 954-986-0158. Royal Bengal Trading, importer, exporter, wholesaler of Bangladeshi Indo-Pak groceries and spices. We specialize in various authentic Indian masalas, juices, flours, rices, and spices. We offer exclusive brands as Ocean Pearl, Shan, National, Tilda, Himani, and many, many more. We're located at 36B Coroni Savannah Road, Charleville, Chaguanas, Trinidad and Tobago. You can call us at 473-4676 or call 476-3117. Email us at wahabdk@gmail.com.
Fens, the single largest specialty retailer of residential and office furniture, consumer electronics, home appliances, and household items in Trinidad and Tobago. At Fens, we offer a large selection of high-quality products, honest and reliable service. We are passionate about serving you, and we're proud of the standard of excellence upheld by our knowledgeable staff, friendly delivery teams, and dedicated customer care associates. Visit Fens First, your friendly furniture, appliance, and electronic dealer since 1960.